Peter here with MMA Madhouse, here talking with Tim Lewis here at West Coast Fight Team. Tim is fighting in one of the main events at Northwest Fight Challenge. He is fighting for the 145-pound title. Tim, how's it going so far, man?
So far so good. I mean, it's kind of gearing up towards the end of training camp. This is the last hard week. Typically we end the week pretty hard and then rest one more week and then get ready to fight. So this definitely the last week is always the hardest. Your body's a little bit tired, broken down, but you know, you just start looking forward to that rest week and you get to recover. So considering all things, everything's good. No major injuries this camp, which is always cross my fingers. So definitely been battling a lot of injuries last 2 years. So I'm glad to be healthy, ready to go.
Good, man. Good. Yeah, and you know, just for me and the fans out there, man, I'd like to just kind of get a breakdown of your fight career. You know, how long have you been training, and what got you started with MMA?
Back in 2006, I made a bucket list, and on my bucket list was to do, at the time, just a cage fight. So in college, I was living up in Seattle. I looked up a gym on Craigslist, found a gym, Big Will, or Big Med, Will Hammond with White Buffalo. He had a gym just out of his garage, and you know, so I just hit him up, went trained there for a couple months, and ended up having my first fight 2007 on Extreme Cage Fighting. I fought Baby James Albert. He was 3-0 at the time, and yeah, so you know, I had that fight. Unfortunately, I lost. You know, at the time, I just kind of watched it and thought, oh, I can train for a few months and you know, beat somebody up. But I realized that obviously there's a lot more training involved. So you know, my journey originally started then. After that fight, I took a long break. Looking back, you know, I wasn't satisfied, even though like I checked that off my bucket list. It was a loss nonetheless. So in 2011, I joined up at West Coast and started training, getting back in. Did about 5-6 kickboxing bouts, and slowly started getting back into MMA. And it was supposed to be like 1 or 2 more fights, but 20 fights later, I'm still here. So you know, yeah, it started way back then, and you know, I'm still here.
That's awesome, man. Just from pursuing that, just off a bucket list thing, that's beautiful, man. So now you are you're 11-4 as an amateur.
Correct. In MMA, 11-4 and 4-1 in kickboxing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. I did not know you did kickboxing. That's awesome, man. So yeah, you know, 14, 15 fights as an amateur. When do you think about hitting the pro stage?
I think I'm like right there on the edge. I recently did a tournament down in Florida, and it's called the Extreme Fighting Nations, and they're gathering like a pool of the best 45ers in the country. Most of them were from that South Beach, Miami area, so they had a lot of guys from like ATT, Black Zillions, and the winner of the tournament would have got a contract with Titan FC. So had I won that, I would have went pro right away, but unfortunately I fell a little bit short. I lost in the semis against a guy who actually won it. So after competing in that tournament, it kind of really opened my eyes, knowing that, you know, these guys are like considered the best in the country, and you know, I was right there competing with them. You know, I wasn't getting blown out of the water or anything like that. So I think I'm right there. You know, I don't want to look past my opponent right now, but definitely, you know, I get past Brent Sanchez. You know, I'm gonna definitely explore that option. I just don't see too many more amateur fighters that's out there left to, you know, really challenge me, I guess. Most of the guys I was brought up with had, you know, already gone pro a year or two ago, so I'm kind of like the last of my breed, I guess, from my era.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I mean, for that record as an MMA fighter, it's like, wow, why aren't you pro yet? But as like a boxer, it's like, man, you might have 10, 15 more to go. It's kind of a weird thing with the sport. I don't know. Yeah, so. Talk more about that tournament. You know, you told me before when I first met you about that tournament, and it seemed to get a lot of exposure. But yeah, how was that experience? You know, with you know, it was already all the way in Florida, so you had to keep coming back here and back to Florida, correct?
Yeah. So the tournament actually started the first round. So it was a pool of 16 guys, and the first round started back in September. And it's funny because off of Facebook you have all these guys, promoters and fighters that, you know, add you, and you know, this promoter hit me up and I thought it was just some fake bullshit.
Some spam.
Yeah. So but it ended up being a legit tournament, and the guy Daniel K was Extreme Fighting Nations. You know, he welcomed me to to that tournament. You know, and I was honored to, you know, participate in something like that. It's definitely something I'm going to look back, you know, in my life and be proud of. And you know, so you know, I'd fly down to Florida for one round, and then 7-8 weeks later, do another training camp, and then fly down for the next round. So I ended up fighting in September, November, and then January. So it was just, you know, nonstop of just fighting, getting back into training camp, fighting, getting back into training camp. So it definitely kept me active. Like I said, I ended up making it to the semifinals, and I fell a little bit short there. So, you know, this next fight's kind of my redeeming fight to kind of like redeem myself, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, yeah. With that kind of experience, you know, fighting in a tournament, you think that gives you an edge? You know, I find it interesting with these like tournaments. A lot of people kind of turn them down because they just don't want that sort of format. But I don't know. It seems to, I don't know, maybe put more grit on you, or I don't know, just and help you out in a bigger stage sort of way, it seems like.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it gave me that experience of, one, for traveling and dealing with those stresses of traveling, not having a place to weight cut, and, you know, dealing with jet lag. I was flying in the day of weigh-in, so I was taking red eyes.
That's
you know,
brutal.
and dealing with the stress of the, you know, thankfully I had two great sponsors who, you know, I'm still thankful for. It's actually these two guys, Stedman Properties and Chuck Tuppa's Music Group.
Okay.
So, you know, a big shout out to them, because those were my main two sponsors that definitely helped support me going down to that tournament. So it gave me that experience of just, you know, more of like the business side of traveling, getting sponsorship, and then competing on that bigger stage, you know, that's televised. And, you know, you're competing against these big names, you know, these gym names that you hear on TV, ATT and Black Zillions, and you see like Anthony Johnson in, you know, one corner, and Yoel Romero in the other corner, and it's like, you know, it gets a little starstruck. You know, you're warming up with, you know, these guys that you're competing against, and they got these big names behind them. But it definitely, I left with a lot of confidence, knowing that, you know, granted, West Coast Fight Team and Ludus FC, we're not a big name, I guess, on the national stage, but just preparing here and seeing my success out on that stage lets me know that, you know, we're doing the right things over here, even though we don't have that, you know, famous notoriety, I guess, on the national stage. So definitely it was a big confidence booster more than anything. So
cool, man. That's awesome. So yeah, your opponent is Brett Sanchez. Tell us about him and what you probably expect next Saturday.
Honestly, before this fight, I never heard of him.
Okay.
I wasn't even sure if I was going to fight until like about 3 weeks ago, and you know, I told Brian Johnson, I was like, I'll fight anybody, just find me anybody, you know, I'll fight him at 45, or I'll cut down to 40.
There you go.
I just didn't think I could make 35 in 4 weeks. So you know, this guy, he's obviously a gamed opponent. He doesn't care who I am or my record. He doesn't care if I went to Florida and fought whoever. So he's definitely a tough guy. He has a winning record. From what I've been told, you know, he's a kind of a tough brawler. He's going to come forward. So I'm definitely, you know, prepared to fight a guy who's going to come forward and, you know, not be intimidated by me. So thankfully, you know, I fought many guys like that in the past, and I'll definitely have the experience, and I'll be prepared for whatever he brings for me, whether he wants to brawl, wrestle, you know, roll on the ground, jiu-jitsu. I'm ready for anything.
Cool, man. Yeah, and I just saw you and Marcus and Drew going at it. We'll show that later. That was some good footage, you guys practicing and all that. And also, yeah, so Marcus Mendoza, one of the West Coast Fight Team, always great. Veteran. I don't know if I call him veteran, but yeah.
No, he's a veteran. He's been around longer than me, so yeah, he's definitely that status as a veteran. He has, I think, just as many fights as me, if not more. So yeah, no, he's definitely a veteran.
Yeah, he's a beast. And so you guys will probably be fighting. Are you guys cornering each other, or is that two in between fights?
Probably not. Just two in between fights, and you know, we got a great coaching staff. We have John Marioski, Reese Sandy, one of my head coaches with Ludus FC, Trevor Jackson. He's a name that many people don't know or recognize yet, but definitely get to know that guy, because you know, a big part of my game and my development is comes from him and his teaching, and also like you mentioned, we're training with Drew, and you know, Drew Bogachar, you know, he's a main training partner of mine, but also, you know, I still consider him a mentor and a teacher. You know, those guys, you know, they've taught me everything. So we'll definitely have a good set of guys who corner both of us. So definitely.
Yeah, so you know, I kind of just thought this on the spot before I came here. Just kind of a last question to leave us off with. So yeah, you guys are obviously training partners, friends. Go train here together. If you were cornering Marcus, what would be the thing you told him before getting to the ring? You know how Marcus fights. You've seen his opponent, Matthew Anderson. What would be that one thing you're just like, hey, remember to watch the takedown, watch the hook? Like, what's the thing that you'd tell him to do?
I mean, all through camp, we kind of have a good idea of what Matthew's going to do. He likes to check hook. He'll go for a power guillotine, and he fights tall. But more than anything, I mean, he's already done the hard work. So if there's one last thing, I'll tell him what my coach always tells me. No matter what, go out there, do your best, and win or lose, I'm going to be proud of you. And that's what my coach tells me, and it's what I tell my boys. Before they wrestle, I tell them no matter what, you put in the hard work. Go out there, wrestle with pride, fight with pride, hold your head up high, and it doesn't matter win or lose. I mean, yes, our ego, is a big part of it, and winning and losing, affects our ego. But really, at the end of the day, both our ultimate goals is just to be a better martial artist and to be a better fighter. So, as long as we go in there, do what we prepare for, that's all you can do. So, I would tell them, win or lose, I'm proud of you no matter what. Just go out there and do your best. So
that's good, man. Yeah, just tell them to let loose. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time out to get interviewed, man. This is great, and I really hope for the best on Saturday, March 25th. Definitely get your tickets for Northwest Fight Challenge. Yeah, man, show some love to your sponsors. Are these sponsors?
Well, first, thank you. We have MMAMadhouse, supporting local MMA. Thank you for taking the time. These guys, again, they've been sponsoring me, in the past. Stedman Properties, Mike Stedman, and Chart Top of the Music Group, West Coast Fight Team, Ludus FC, Reese Andy, Trevor Jackson, Drew Boganchar, Marcus Mendoza. All those guys have been giving me good work. So, thank you for them, and thank you to my wife. Like I said, this was only supposed to be one fight, and 20-something fights, and maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 more. I'm still doing it. So thank you to her for putting up with me. So
she's sticking with it. That's good.
Yeah, sticking with it, and thank you for anybody who's going to come out. I've trained hard, and I'm going to put on a great show. So thank you guys.
Hell yeah! And that's March 25th at Clover Park Community College or Technical College.
Technical College, yep.
Check that out in Lakewood. Tickets still available March 25th. This is Peter with MMA Madhouse. Thanks for your time, man.